So very good evening to all of you. I hope you're all doing good. Yes, Josh is still intact. All happy. जो डर लग रहे थे, you were all feeling scared. कहाँ से आएगा, कैसे आएगा, how many statements ज़्यादा पूछ ली तो. So it's just a well balanced mixed paper, right? Right? So it will be a great motivator for everyone to have trust in your preparation, right? So all that anxiety that was holding you or demotivating you has just vanished with a bang, right? So this is what you need to understand, that UPSC will and has always focused on basic fundamental principles, and that is your foundation. If your foundation is strong, you will be able to get through whatever the kind of paper will it be, right? So let's start with the analysis. Today I will be taking up history section. I will be also taking up certain general awareness questions along with current affairs questions to give you an insight as to how UPSC has changed the trend, if any kind of change has been done by it, or has it continued with the previous pattern of UPSC, right? So let's start with the discussion. So when we talk about 2024 prelims paper UPSC, there are 11 questions that have been asked by UPSC. Now these 11 questions which have come and appeared in the history section is a kind of a mixture of medium level difficulty, easy level difficulty, and even some difficult questions. Now coming to understanding the predictability of themes that have been going the rounds in the last 5-6 years, definitely on the predictable themes UPSC has asked the questions. Yes, you all agree, Hana? दूसरी चीज what they have done is they have made the appearance of, or they have just reinvented elimination all over again, right? The kind of traps UPSC has set in all the subjects, including history, is what we will look into. So there are 11 questions. One post-independence question has also come, right? So obviously, the learnings from what we get from 2024 paper is that do we need to change our preparation or strategy with respect to any section, or do we continue? So that is how we will be going in the discussion, right? Now talking about in the last 8 years, how questions have come, how many number of questions have come. So if this year they have asked 11 questions, if we take the average of last 8 years, there are around 126 questions. That makes it to 15 to 16 questions on average every year, right? Now the variations that are happening in history is that some year they give more weightage to medieval, some year they give more weightage to culture, some year they give more weightage to modern. That is how the seesaw and the game is being played, right? So having said that, I again feel that just stay on the foundation, basic stuff, prepare your fundamentals, and then rest, leave it to God. Okay? Next, we will take up modern Indian history question. Modern Indian history ke questions were very easy, I feel. Easy in terms of first the theme which they have asked. Second understanding which we need to have is that is there any recurrent pattern of UPSC repeating the theme in any section? So yes, you must have attended the discussions of the previous subjects. In history also, UPSC has repeated the themes, right? So abhi hum agar repetition of theme dekhe, there has been a question on convolus in the last previous year papers also. Let's see the question, because that question is a learning which we get from previous year questions that emphasizes the fact that previous year papers are very important. The question आया था रैयतवारी settlement पे, and they had asked who all are associated with Rayyatwari. So with Rayyatwari, we do not associate Lord Cornwallis. अब आते हैं हम this year's paper. Now what UPSC has done, the question is with reference to the revenue collection by Cornwallis, consider the following statements. तो अगर किसी ने प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर करा होगा, they would be knowing from the dated knowledge, backdated knowledge that Cornwallis has nothing to do with Rayyatwari. ये हो सकता है उससे mistake हो गई हो. While framing the question, he might not have noted that what he had written in the stem, and probably UPSC was playing something else and has played something else. Right? तो ये यहाँ से eliminate हो जाता है on the basis of very simple fact that Cornwallis is not associated with Rayyatwari system. But if we read the statement individually, so the statement says, under the Rayyatwari settlement, the revenue collection, the peasants were exempted from revenue payment in case of bad harvest or natural calamities. अगर हम इस logic पे भी नहीं आए हैं while reading the question, so it so happens in the examination condition that you might not have noted this and you were independently solving the statement. Independently also this statement is wrong. What is Rayyatwari system? Where we give the power to collect or the rights of the land to the peasants. Rayyat means peasants, right? So in case of bad harvest or natural calamity, there was no such provision that they will be getting an exemption, right? So first is wrong independently also, and with respect to the stem also, the statement is wrong. Coming to the second statement, under the permanent settlement in Bengal, if the zamindar failed to pay his revenues to the state on or before the fixed date, he would be removed from his zamindari, right? Now this is, both the statements, if you see, have been asked on the consequence of any kind of arrangement, impact or outcome of the arrangement, right? So this is what you have to understand, that they are asking very simple basic outcomes, that what happens if harvest is bad, what happens if zamindar is unable to pay the fixed amount, right? So these are all outcome based, statements. So second statement is again correct. Reason being, he would be removed from his zamindari. Zamindari rights matlab, zamindar will be given rights over land. His rights over zamindari were alienable. What do you understand by alienable? That if he will be unable to pay the tax on time, his right will be transferred. His zamindari right was also hereditary, है ना? तो उसका right transfer हो सकता था. So there is this concept of permanent settlement which you need to look into, right? So second only statement is correct. Now coming to giving you the framework with respect to how land revenue settlements are to be done. So this is again coming from the previous year's papers. This will just help those who are just starting with their preparation. So first of all, you should know the three systems of land revenue collection. What were they? The main three systems: Rayyatwari, permanent settlement, Mahalwari system, right? You have to also do the associated personalities with this system. For example, which Governor General introduced this system, or during the times of which Governor General this was brought upon, right? Third aspect which you need to know is the features, specifically any consequence or outcome, any act, any event, any movement that happened because of the atrocities or defects of Raiyatwari permanent settlement or Mahalwari system, right? So this is how you will be preparing this topic, right? Let's come to the next question. Next question is on Government of India Act 1935. Very predictable theme. Theme as in almost every year act-based questions are asked, right? So is bari bhi aa gaya, which is very good. Now the catch is, it is a two-statement question, and again UPSC has asked very simple understanding of the provisions of 1935 Act. So let's just have a look at it. So the first statement is to be read first in the perspective of Government of India Act 1935. So the first statement says, it provided for the establishment of All India Federation based on the Union of British Indian Provinces and Princely States. Yes, this is the basic feature of this act, that it will provide for an All India Federation, which would be a union between the princely states and the British Indian provinces. However, this federation did not materialize, right? But provision to iska hai, right? So first statement is right. Coming to second statement. Second statement says that defense and foreign affairs were kept under the control of the federal legislature. Now here I would like to draw your attention to the word control. What do you understand by control? So if the statement would have been defense and foreign affairs subjects were kept under the federal legislature, the statement would have been true. Defense and foreign affairs were kept under the control of the federal legislature is making this statement incorrect. Let's understand what was this all about. So to understand this, we need to look into basically what was there in the provision with respect to the power or subjects of Governor General. तो अगर हम बात करते हैं before 1935 की, this whole arrangement of subjects division for the first time we saw in 1919 Act. उसने क्या किया था? It laid down diarchy at provinces. What was this diarchy? That there will be division of subjects into reserved list and transferred subjects, not list, but there would be certain subjects which would be reserved for the Governor General, and then some subjects will be transferred for the provinces to administer, right? इस पे सवाल आ चुका है, UPSC पूछ चुकी है. Now coming to 1935 Act, इसके बीच में साइमन कमीशन आया, right? साइमन कमीशन ने बोला that we should move forward, we should have this arrangement of providing All India Federation and as well as putting diarchy at the central level. तो provinces के साथ क्या हुआ? In the 1935 Act, ये जो diarchy provinces में थी, अब provinces में provincial autonomy दे दी गई. Right? What does that mean? What does that mean? Autonomy means freedom, right? 1935 Act के बाद ही elections हुए थे 1937 में, तो वो arrangement क्या हुआ? That it all changed into giving the provinces more autonomy. Second most important change that happened was with respect to Governor General, right? Governor General को 3 टाइप की पावर्स दे दी गई. देयर वाज अ मैकेनिज्म पार्ट ऑफ 1935 कि गवर्नर जनरल या तो एड एंड एडवाइस लेगा ऑफ द मिनिस्टर्स ऑन द सब्जेक्ट्स मेंशन्ड इन द फेडरल लिस्ट. ठीक है, या फिर वो कंसल्ट करेगा बट डिस्क्रीशन या जजमेंट गवर्नर जनरल की होगी अल्टीमेटली, right? So that means for some matters he has to act upon the aid and advice of the ministers. For some subjects he has to consult, but ultimately his decision would prevail. And then there were certain subjects that were, listed for his individual discretion. वो कौन से सब्जेक्ट्स थे? वो सब्जेक्ट्स थे डिफेंस, एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स, एक्लेस्टियल अफेयर्स, रिलीजियस अफेयर्स. इसीलिए ये जो क्वेश्चन आया है, दिस इज आस्किंग दिस फैक्ट दैट डिफेंस एंड एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स in 1935 Act has been put under the control of Federal Legislature या Governor General. अगर हम बात करते, if they had been asking about the subject, again I'm repeating, then the answer would have been yes, Federal Legislature में ये subjects है. But if they're asking about the control, we have to look into the control which this act is provided to in the office of Governor General. ठीक है? So this is sorted. I think there had been certain debates with respect to this question. That's why I, tried to clear it out. क्योंकि language भी यही बोल रही है, वो kept under the control of the Federal Legislature. So the answer is one only. So as I told you, that themes have been repeated. 1935 Act 2018 में भी पूछा है UPSC ने. 2021 में भी there had been a question on 1935 Act. So this is what we need to do, that the acts or the themes which have been repeated by UPSC, we have to prepare it very comprehensively. If you look at the exact screenshot of the act, it says administration of federal affairs, right? So in the administration of federal affairs, the functions of Governor General with respect to defense, ecclesial affairs, and with respect to external affairs, except the relations, will be administered by the Governor General in his own discretion. ठीक है? Now coming to post-independence question. ये question है which I feel that you might not have been able to confidently, mark. Reason being, आप लोग post-independence history you treat it as part of mains and not prelims. So this is what I would like to, tell you here, that UPSC preparation has to be integrated, right? There will be certain kind of questions which checks your comprehensive knowledge. Second understanding is that this was an election year, right? And during this year, there had been articles coming on the evolution of, one-party dominance to multi-party alliance, coalition government, right? So probably they had got inspired from the, evolution of political parties in general, and that's why the question has been asked. Thirdly, coming to the source. Source is your static portion or static or fundamental source, that is your NCERT. All the pairs have been picked up from this book. This is your NCERT, Politics in India Since Independence, Class 12. There is a chapter, Era of One-Party Dominance. Every word. So they asked about Bharatiya Jansangh, Shama Prasad Mukherjee. First line of the content has been picked up. Socialist Party, Acharya Narayan Dev. ठीक है, यहाँ से एक पैर बनाया. Then they asked Congress for Democracy, Jagjeevan Ram, right? Swatantra Party, C. Rajagopalachari. The question has been framed from your NCERT, so you need not worry. So that's what I would like to tell you, that please, focus on integrating your mains issues with prelims, because this trend has been seen in your IR also. So you have to maintain that. Now coming to the question, Bharatiya Jansangh, Shri Shama Prasad Mukherjee, Socialist Party, Acharya Narayan Dev, so second pair is not correct. Congress for Democracy is correctly matched with Jagjeevan Ram. Swatantra Party, C. Rajagopalachari, so answer is only 2, right? Now next question. Now coming to the next section, that is ancient, medieval and culture. Let's see and let's first understand how the questions have been. So if you talk about the themes, conventional themes, have they picked up the conventional themes and trends of previous year papers? Answer is yes. So there is a question on Buddhism, right? There is a question on literature. There is a question on, famous places or sites. वो पूछ रहे हैं पिछले 2-3 सालों से. There is a question on current affairs and culture, which you do in PTG 65 or anyways as part of current affairs. So yes, the questions have been on predictable lines, predictable themes, right? Buddhism करते हैं, but question और difficult आ जाता है. तो ये हुआ है, right? So let's see how questions have been. Ancient Indian history. Majority, I'm just using the word liberally and very humbly, majority. But I must say every question in ancient history, I'm admitting it, every question from ancient history has come from this book. Right? I'll tell you how to tackle such things after we have discussed the questions. This is just for those who are understanding how they need to go into the direction of preparing certain things, right? So the first question, sites and description. This is a new pattern of pair type questions which UPSC has asked. So they are not checking only with respect to archaeological site or state. They are also checking you upon whether you also know that, what is the description of the site, what is it famous for, right? Chandraketugarh is a repeated site of UPSC. I first would like to show you the question, what UPSC has asked in its previous year papers. 2021 में question आया था, उसमें चंद्रकेतुगढ़ दिया हुआ था. This is what I would like to tell you. Previous year papers are very, very important. This is also a question on site and what it is well known for, right? तो ये गलत नहीं होना चाहिए था. Because this option which UPSC gave this year, Chandraketugarh, has been marked wrongly with respect to the state. So if someone knew that Chandraketugarh is not in Odisha, he would have eliminated 2 options right away. Option बचता है 2 and 3 and 3 and 4. तो 3 नहीं देखना है. क्या देखना है? 4 देखना है. Salihundam. So we've been telling you in our classes that Andhra Pradesh की जो sites हैं, they are important. In the previous years also, Buddhist sites in Andhra Pradesh have been in focus, right? Salihundam belongs to Andhra Pradesh, but this question is difficult. Reason being, you might not be knowing that what it is famous for, right? So it's not famous for rock-cut cave shrines, but it is a very important stupa site. I would draw your attention to the snapshots of this book, how they ask the questions, and then I'll tell you the framework for your future preparation. So a site called Inamgaon is given, which was there in your question also. And they are describing it very holistically. Any site which has been given due description, you have to pick that site up, right? Next thing. Similarly, if you see in South Indian context, again, the snapshot is from Upinder Singh book. Here it is mentioned that megaliths associated with black and red ware have also been found in Sri Lanka. Some megalith types are associated with specific regions, for example, Kodaikas and Topicals of Kerala and Karnataka. There are given some megalith sites specifically called Mangadu in Kollam district of Kerala. So again, this area, you just have to pick by just listing down the sites. Okay? This is a difficult question, I'm admitting, because there are so many sites which will be given to you. What you need to cover, how you need to cover is that, just pick up the prominent sites which are mentioned. Okay? Next thing, if I show you again one thing, Chandraketugad is again explicitly given in the book. Before that, we will come to the Andhra Pradesh, Buddhist stupa site. So here there is mention of Ayak platforms on pillars are, however, absent at Salihondam. कोई चीज़ वैसे आंध्र प्रदेश में मिल रही है, but in some sites these ayak pillars are absent. That means it is a exception. So when you're reading any content, take out the exceptions, take out the prominent sites which have been covered very comprehensively, right? Ayak pillars kya hote hai? These are 5 pillars which signify the birth cycle of Lord Buddha. They were predominantly seen in the form of Buddhist stupa sites in Andhra Pradesh, specifically Ayak pillars. Okay? Chandraketugad, he explicitly was covered in the book, right? What is so famous about Chandraketugad is that lot of terracotta figurines were found. One very important figurine was Panchchuda. So women have worn, or they were depicted using, certain kind of embellishments and jewelry, specifically on their head, which were depicting a kind of a very innovative hairstyle or hair accessory. Right? ये जो पंच चूड़ा है, that is very important. तो हो सकता है UPSC may ask you in a term-based question, because this is a terracotta figurine which has been found in Chandraketugad. ठीक है? तो such images, if you find any term you find, you have to pick it up, right? Next question. Buddhism. आना ही था. But let's read the question. With reference to ancient India, Gautam Buddha was generally known by which of the following epithets? What are epithets? Epithets are titles or names given to Buddha or Mahavira also, right? Now, usually what we have seen in the previous year papers also, whenever Buddhism questions come or Jainism questions come, usually the traps are set to interchange, any Buddhist fact or with that of any Jainism fact. यहाँ पर भी यही किया. Nayaputta is an epithet used for Mahavira, not Gautam Buddha. तो ये गलत है, and the moment one eliminates one, there are only 2 options left. However, I would still feel that at many places you would have read about Shakyamuni, है ना? Shakyamuni Buddha. 2 only कोई है नहीं. There is no option called 2 only, right? So either you have to go for B or C still. These are some of the ways in which you take a wild guess, right? So Shakyamuni is an epithet used for Gautam Buddha. Tathagat also is an epithet used for Gautam Buddha. Tathagat means thus gone, thus come. वो गया और फिर वो वापस आया. किस लिए वापस आया? Again, to teach, right? So ये जो तथागत है, इसका इंटरप्रिटेशन यही है. So tatha is thus, gata, gati सुना होगा, gati is gone, और agat is coming back. So who is coming back? He is again teaching, enlightening people, and again he's going out of the samsara by attaining nirvana. So that is how this whole cycle is going, right? So this is what you mean by this. So this is just for your extra information. So these are the most important epithets of Gautam Buddha. Shaka because he belongs to Shakya clan also. That's why he's also known as Shakya Muni. So these are important epithets. Similarly, Lord Mahavira ke ye epithets hai. Naya Putta, Muni, Samana, Nigant, Brahman and Bhagwan. ठीक है, भगवान महावीरा भी सुना होगा आपने title, right? So these are some common epithets found of Lord Mahavira. Now coming to the section of medieval India. Only one question. Again, here I would like to tell you one thing, that when it comes to predictability of theme, here also UPSC has not disappointed. Vijayanagar focus में रहा है, Vijayanagar से question आया है, right? Vijayanagar से but question ये आया है that do you know the interaction of the Europeans or the Portuguese with the Vijayanagar as well, right? That is what is being checked. Again, this interlinkage of Europeans with medieval rulers has already been asked by UPSC. I would again first like to show the question how UPSC had asked in 2019 that English East India Company established a factory at Madras on a plot of land leased from a representative of the Vijayanagar Empire. इसका मतलब ये जो interaction था, that has already been given to you in the form of question. Next logical learning. Did you prepare that or not? क्योंकि question आ गया 19 के बाद 24 में on again Vijayanagar and Portuguese का interaction. Who of the following rulers of medieval India gave permission to the Portuguese to build a fort at Bhatkal? It was Krishnadev Raya. So 1510 में ये हुआ था. So that is how you need to know the answer, right? So answer was very simple. Again, ये जो fact है आपको spectrum में भी मिल जाता है. So Albuquerque is considered to be the founder of Portuguese power in India, who captured Goa from Bijapur, persecuted Muslims, captured Bhatkal from Sri Krishnadev Raya in 1510 of Vijayanagar. The spectrum, maybe it was commonly found, so nothing was to be worried about medieval Indian history. Coming to art and culture questions. 5 questions, good number, and difficulty level was also easy. तो खुश हुए होंगे बहुत सारे कैंडिडेट्स कि हाँ करंट अफेयर्स से आया है, गरबा पूछ लिया, वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट पूछ ली, which was good, right? Now coming to the question, it was not that difficult, but still there are some takeaways from the themes which UPSC has asked and how they have asked. Coming to the first question, now when we understand the themes asked in UPSC paper this year with respect to culture, literature is very dominant. Literature से questions आए हैं. Literature is a portion which is factual. ठीक है, तो वो fact based है. इसका मतलब every subject has certain things which you have to do it whether you like it or not. है ना? But जो literature भी पूछा है, ऐसा नहीं है that they have asked a very random author or literature. They have asked the very basic and fundamental aspects of literature, right? So let's see the questions and then we will assess. So the first question which we are taking up is on Upanishads. There are no parables in Upanishads. Upanishads were composed earlier than the Puranas. So first of all, why this theme is also related to current affairs. Lot of articles were coming on the teachings of Upanishads. I'm again emphasizing on this, that in the last year, in fact last 2-3 years, Upanishads were quoted by different ministers, our honorable prime minister, to take some kind of learning, right? Jaise 5 life-changing teachings from Upanishads. Indian constitution based on Vedas, Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. Vedas, Upanishads, Gita, basis of Indian constitution. That means Vedic literature had to be looked upon by the candidates from the static aspect. Yes or no? है ना? तो क्वेश्चन भी यही पूछा है. एक पूछ लिया element on the static aspect and some element which you could have, if you would have gone through the newspapers, you would have marked. First statement says there are no parables in Upanishads. Parable word common नहीं है. इस केस में क्या करना होता है? You have to see Hindi if you are well versed with Hindi. It says Niti Katha. Niti Katha means moral stories, right? जब हम न्यूज़पेपर में ऐसे पढ़ रहे हैं teachings of Upanishad, moral teachings, how one should be, क्या वो उपनिषद में नहीं होगा? है, right? So there are no parables in Upanishad. This statement is wrong. Again, you might have seen many questions. UPSC is bringing back extreme words, specifically in 2024. No river feeds into Red Sea. No parables. Abhi main aur questions dikhaungi. Any, right? So these words have again, shown a comeback. Second statement. Upanishads were composed earlier than the Puranas. So if someone knows basic understanding of Vedic literature, they would be knowing कि Vedic literature में ऋग वेद, यजुर्वेद, सामवेद, अथर्ववेद ये सब पहले आए थे. उसके बाद what are Upanishads? Upanishads means to sit down near someone and learn from him, right? एक गुरु होगा, वो आपको कुछ चीज़ें बताएगा. वो क्यों बताएगा? Because of the learnings he has, learned, experience he has learned, है ना? इसीलिए एक और इसमें aspect है that many slogans have been picked up from Upanishad. जैसे सत्यमेव जयते, वसुदेव कुटुंबकम, अतिथि देवो भव. ये सब कहाँ से लिए हैं? Upanishad से लिए हैं. So this is what you need to emphasize, that how basic and current affairs issues are linked with this portion of history as well. ठीक है, तो आंसर क्लियर है ना?
Are you struggling to understand ethical theories and their practical applications? Many UPSC aspirants face this challenge when preparing for the ethics mains paper. To aid aspirants conquer it, Vision IAS presents the Ethics Case Studies classes from 30th June, 5 p.m. Master the fundamentals of ethics with a clear, structured approach. Stay ahead by interlinking topics with current events and real-world scenarios.
Next, again literature. This is a difficult question, very difficult. You don't know who is Sanghabhuti, even you don't know which text he has written, right? So I'm classifying it in very difficult category. Sanghabhuti, an Indian Buddhist monk who traveled to China at the end of the 4th century AD, was the author of a commentary upon. Now again, if we dwell into the source of the question, the source is that book of Upinder Singh from where the question has been lifted. Many Indian monks who traveled to China during these centuries belong to Kashmir. They included Sanghabhuti, who was an author of the commentary Sarvastivad Vinaya. तो डायरेक्ट वहाँ से आया है क्वेश्चन ये, ठीक है? My advice to you is at least know the Buddhist monks or travelers, because Buddhist scholars, again, there have been precedents where UPSC had asked questions, right? How much you can retain, I am not commenting upon. But at least definitely there is a source which you can fall back upon. Or if you want to prepare for Buddhism, Jainism, you have that source in your hand, right? Questions देखो इतने नहीं आते हैं, एक दो आएंगे, गलत हो जाएगा, ओके, बट बेसिक क्वेश्चंस जो होते हैं उस पे यू डोंट हैव टू फॉल्टर एट ऑल, राइट? अगेन अनदर क्वेश्चन, भाष, इसका origin or his birth is not so clear in history, but yes, some say that he was born before Kalidas. He again is a very important playwright, right? And he had been asked by UPSC before, right? Which one of the following is a work attributed to playwright Bhasa? Madhyam Vyayog. ये question भी उपिंदर सिंह की book से है. I'm again attaching the screenshot. Bhasha, who was another important playwright, was the author of works such as Madhyam Vyayog. Any author which has already been asked by UPSC, you need to know his works. That is it. Whether you do from this book or your class notes, whatever, you have to prepare that option. ठीक है? Current affairs. Very easy question. Very giveaway question. ऐसे questions आते नहीं हैं culture में. But still, आया है तो just thank UPSC. Which one of the following was the latest inclusion in the Intangible Cultural Heritage List of UNESCO? Garba dance. Articles आए थे, you must have prepared, and it was a very easy question, right? Similarly, again another question on UNESCO World Heritage Site. Pehla tha Intangible Cultural Heritage List, now on World Heritage Site List. So the question is that which of the following World Heritage Sites have been the properties that were included in 2023? ये questions होते हैं where you are bound to do certain silly mistakes, right? कितने लोगों ने किया who missed 2023? Bad luck. अच्छा सही है, but who did not read 2023? Because all of them are World Heritage Sites. So the question was 2023 में कौन सी include हुई? Again, this was part of current affairs. Shanti Niketan and Hoysala, sacred ensembles of Hoysalas, right? News भी आ रही थी. So you all would have been expecting कि features पूछेंगे Hoysala के, Hoysala kingdom पूछेंगे, temples पूछेंगे, but they ask very easy. So when you expect that, it'll be difficult, UPSC gives you, take a break, I'm the boss, right? I will decide what kind of questions we have to do. Okay, so next section is general awareness. Again, I would like to draw your attention to some elements in your general awareness which were ignored by you in the preparation, but UPSC has asked direct questions from India Yearbook. I'm not saying that these questions or topics will not be there in other materials which you have at hand, but my point is that if something is directly there, all the things are directly there in one book, that means you never know that this book is again returning with a comeback. Because if you see the last 10 years questions, this book had been underemphasized. 2010 से पहले, this book contained lot of questions which were asked by UPSC. So you never know, right? So let's see how and what kind of questions have come from this book. So this is what the index of India Yearbook looks like. And UPSC has this year asked questions from defense, they have asked questions from labor, skill development and employment, they have asked questions from health and family welfare, right? अगर आपने देखा होगा, lot of questions have been asked from internal security, defense, otherwise as well. So that means the things which you don't focus is what UPSC is throwing in this paper, right? This might be a lesson or a new learning which you have to take, that, next time you can, skim through this book, right? Let's see the questions. Defense. Which of the following are correctly matched in terms of equivalent rank in the 3 services of Indian Defense Forces? Now again, my opinion on this is, it's not as if you will not find this thing in some other text, but it's explicitly there in India yearbook, right? क्या आप expect करते हो to know such ranks? Answer is still no. It is out of your interest. If someone is in your family who is a major general, brigadier, or had been one, you might have interest and would, solve this question, right? So that is why this is a general awareness question. And these questions were asked 10 years back because they wanted to check the kind of curiosity and awareness which this aspirants had to have for these services, right? ठीक है, तो ये जो क्वेश्चन है वो डायरेक्टली उस बुक से है. आंसर इज 3 ओनली. अगेन इन माय ओपिनियन दिस क्वेश्चन इज डिफिकल्ट, राइट? डायरेक्टली उन्होंने ये पूछा है दैट कैन यू टेल अस विच कमेंसरेट रैंक इज देयर इन द ऑर्डर ऑफ आर्मी, एयर फोर्स एंड नेवी, है ना? तो ये उस बुक में दिया हुआ है as it is, and they have just interchanged and played with the options, right? So that is why I always, suggest the aspirants that if you get a source, there is a learning from it, right? Next question, health and family welfare. Scheme pe questions aaye, good. There had been a session also conducted by Vision IAS on schemes, right? So schemes is an important theme otherwise also as part of government initiatives, right? So scheme pe questions aaye hain. What learning I would like to give you for these questions is that the kind of traps UPSC is setting in schemes, right? So let's read this question. Although this scheme was also given in your India yearbook, but still, benefit of doubt we are giving that this is a very important theme. And this was included in our, comprehensive schemes document as well. So we would put this question in general awareness again, right? With reference to Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan, consider the following statements. The scheme guarantees minimum package of antenatal care services to women in their second and third trimesters of pregnancy and 6 months post-delivery healthcare service in any government health facility. UPSC ने इस बारी क्या किया है? And लगाकर first half is right and second half is not correct. So partially it is right that it is providing minimum package of antenatal care services to women in their second and third trimesters, and 6 months of post-delivery healthcare, there is no such provision. Also, if someone is not knowing this, यहाँ पर आ गया in any government health facility. इस scheme में designated word use हुआ है. Right? Second statement. Under this scheme, private sector healthcare providers of certain specialities can volunteer to provide services at nearby government health facilities. Because this is for the care which the pregnant ladies would need, that's why there is a provision that the private healthcare providers of certain specialities can volunteer to provide, services at the nearby center. This statement is correct. So the answer is 2 only. Now coming to again the content, India yearbook में clearly ये चीजें दी हुई हैं that it is mainly for the pregnant women, which is guaranteeing minimum package of antenatal care services, not postnatal. Antenatal means before the birth. Postnatal means after the birth. So it is only catering to antenatal care services, right? So this is what you have to look into. It involves private sector healthcare providers to give services at nearby facilities. This is also part of that India yearbook. But having said that, this was given in our comprehensive scheme document as well. तो ये जो infographics होते हैं, they are very handy. Antenatal checkup, Nowhere post birth is mentioned, right? After doing the scheme question, I'll give you the framework as to how you now have to go about this area. Again, another important scheme on skill development and employment, Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan Yojana, right? So the question is having 4 statements. Again, there were certain statements which could have been eliminated by prior knowledge. The entry age group for the enrollment, this is the basic parameter on which a scheme is developed, that who all are covered. ठीक है, यहीं पर उन्होंने play कर दिया. It's not 21 to 40, right? Second, age specific contribution shall be made by the beneficiary. This is correct. Third is also an important feature कि भाई कितना minimum assured pension देंगे. Each subscriber under the scheme shall receive a minimum pension of rupees 33,000 per month after attaining the age of 60 years. अब आते हैं हम on the relation between two statements. 40, 60. However, here the entry age group is talked about and here the exit. ठीक है? तो कई बारी ये जो एज ग्रुप्स होते हैं दे आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. नाउ अगेन कमिंग टू फोर्थ स्टेटमेंट, हियर दे हैव मेड first half of the statement correct and second incorrect. Family pension is applicable to the spouse and unmarried daughters. बहुत जुल्म कर दिया यूपीएससी ने इस बारी by giving such traps, because this means आपको यहाँ तक पता है and you will mark it generally. That is why some questions which were looking very, easy would have gone wrong, right? तो ये चीज़ें भी ध्यान रखनी है. So whenever you will be now giving mocks or tests, these are the things which you have to look into, जो आप शायद पहले ignore कर देते थे, thinking that this is a very silly trap, UPSC won't ask, पता नहीं UPSC कहाँ से बनाता है, ये नहीं पूछेंगे वो. तो कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं है that ये नहीं पूछेंगे. No trap is bad. Every trap is to trap you. Whether it's bad or good, it is meant to trap you, right? So don't have any misconception, a good trap or a bad trap or a silly trap, right? Trap is a trap. So second and third statements are correct. Again, this scheme is from India Yearbook. All the statements are mentioned over here. So Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan is to ensure the old age protection for the unorganized workers, right? Age group is given 18 to 40, वहाँ था 21 to 40. यहाँ पर exactly there is a word used, voluntary and contributory pension scheme on 50:50 basis, which is age specific contribution, right? Again, it specifically mentions that a subscriber would receive the following benefits: minimum assured pension of 3,000 per person per month after attaining the age of 60 years. This contribution will be given to only the spouse. Nowhere unmarried daughter is mentioned. अब करना क्या है, that whenever there is an extension to the statement, ठीक है, से unmarried daughters पे आपको ध्यान रखना होगा. Why unmarried daughters? They would first give it to the spouse ना. Why unmarried daughters? तो उसमें ऐसा क्या है? Because these are certain exceptions which you have to look into while reading it. Don't take it so casually, right? Again, this was covered in the comprehensive scheme document that was released by Vision IAS. Mandhan was also there. Matritva Yojana was also there, right? So you can always, prepare certain schemes from such compilations which are well researched so that it is helping you a lot, right? Now coming to the framework as to how you need to focus on the schemes looking into the questions of this year. So whenever you are preparing schemes, first thing, obviously, you need to know that it is under the aegis of which ministry. कौन सी ministry का ये initiative है, right? Which is the implementing authority or nodal agency? Who are the beneficiaries? Who are excluded? Because in previous papers, whenever schemes have been asked, they have been played with nodal agency, beneficiaries, exclusions, right? Next aspect is, what are the unique features of the scheme? And mind you, there have been questions on the outcome of the scheme in the prelims as well. Outcome of the scheme matlab, if the scheme is fully implemented, what would it lead to? If this scheme is helping out so and so, it will ensure what? Such type of questions have also been asked by UPSC. If you want to check, you can check questions from 2011 and 2012 papers. There had been questions coming on schemes back then a lot, right? So these are some of the areas where you can, look into while preparing for the schemes. Now coming to the last question, again, general awareness question, but still it is current affairs. इस टाइप के क्वेश्चंस अगेन 2010 से पहले बहुत आते थे, बुक रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन. Who of the following is the author of books The India Way and the Why Bharat Matters? This book, released by S. Jaishankar, was in the news last year. Okay? So the answer is D. But just look at the news which you had to read. If not, doing it for mains perspective only, there are issues and news and editorials that are helping you out in prelims as well. Dekho, Jaishankar's new book, Questions, Nehru's Foreign Policy, sparks much needed debate. Important to understand why Bharat matters, right? Why Bharat Matter discusses civilizational background to diplomacy and statecraft. So the learning which you need to know is that mains issues or the newspaper which you think is from the mains perspective can also help you out in prelims, right? Now, what are the next steps or the takeaways that you have to, learn from this paper? First of all, coming to the sources. ये सबको फिर से जानना है that now do we need to stick to some other source or do we stick to the basic ones? Yes, when it comes to modern Indian history, you have to focus on the basic. The essential material will be either your spectrum or your NCERT. At the max, Bipin Chandra's The Thicker Book, right? Which is your Bipin Chandra's India Struggle for Independence. That is the max. Even if you do only spectrum, that is more than enough. The questions which came this year could have been easily tackled from your class notes as well, right? Next, when it comes to ancient medieval culture, do you need to change the source? When it comes to the basic fundamentals, the NCERT still remains Introduction to Indian Art Part 1. But when it comes to Buddhism, Jainism, you have to take a call from either of this book, right? Now this book is getting popularly used by many UPSC paper setters for ancient as well. As I showed you the analysis, as I showed you the snapshots, of this book, all the ancient questions have been covered in this book, right? So it's a call from your end. I'll tell you how to do it, right? So this is about the sources. Now coming to how and now what steps you need to take. What should be your focus areas? The first lesson which we can take from this year's paper and otherwise in general, in all the UPSC papers so far, build upon your foundation. Stick to your basic. Stick to fundamentals of every concept in every subject, right? Next learning which you need to pick is always see UPSC preparation in amalgamation with static and current affairs. I would add to it another layer. Don't think any subject to be from only mains perspective. Any article from only mains perspective. There have been questions coming from what you think is mains, but questions have been framed from prelims perspective. Third, usually many aspirants had started to only practice full length test. कौन सिर्फ full length test practice करता था? Thinking कि sectional is waste of time. It's too much. Yes, there may be many others as well who are not admitting कि इतना deep तो नहीं जाएंगे, right? So let's do the comprehensive full length mock test. एक और psychological understanding है, just before the prelims, usually you want to have a similar simulation of UPSC. So you all focus on mock test कर लेते हैं full length. उससे होता क्या है that you are not understanding where you could have faltered in your basics. This paper is again a learning to those who used to think that sectional tests or revising these sections is not important, but we need to see the paper in its entirety. So here you have to change this understanding, because there is an initiative which has been added in the prelims test series of Vision IAS. Apart from the sectional tests, there is an initiative, Sandhan, which is being integrated with the prelims test series. Now, what is this initiative all about? This initiative is solving the problems of almost all the aspirants in prelims. How? Pehli cheez, you still want to practice your weaker areas. Yes or no? You still know कि हाँ मैं money bill में question गलत करूँगी या करूँगा. How many think like that? So all type of money bill questions you can get in one interface. If you feel that you have a problem in, let's say, geography, you don't understand physiography, or you want to practice more map-based questions because that is how questions are coming, you will get your map-based questions at one place of different kinds. That will help you to build upon your basics and foundation. So you have plethora of questions of almost 15,000 questions, which you can customize according to your needs and demands. You can also solve UPSC previous year papers, because everyone is emphasizing, and you've also seen that UPSC repeat its themes. So this portal or this exercise or this initiative is also helping you to prepare your previous year papers along with your weaker areas. Next element which you always look for is the analysis and progress. This is very important in prelims and in any competitive examination, right? This will give you the report card कि हाँ अभी भी you need to look into constitutional bodies. Yes, your physiography is done. Your climatology questions are going on the right track. This kind of personalized assessment is what the aspirants now need, and it's very useful. So you can just explore other features as well. This is where Sandhan initiative is helping you out. Now coming to this year's paper, many questions from our Sandhan initiative has been asked in prelims 2024, whether it pertains to 1935, whether it pertains to Swatantra Party, where you get the explanation, because there was a question on post-independence, right? Whether it belongs to Chief of Defense Staff in your polity section, right? So such themes you do get in the database of Vision IAS, right? So this is a very good initiative which you can explore and look into. Now, the last takeaway, the last learning. See, if you talk about UPSC prelims or UPSC exam in totality, this is more towards understanding the requirements, understanding and correcting the way you look at things. This is an overall all-round development exam, which is not differentiating whether one knows only economics or whether one should only know polity or whether one should know only, history. This is a overall, personality exam, which is looking into the aspirants, the different factors which are in play in UPSC examination and otherwise also in this field or in this job, right? So always make sure that you are understanding this whole examination from a 360-degree perspective. Don't discriminate, don't have misconceptions about anything. Try to be a, information seeker, but not collector. You need to seek information, but you don't have to collect it, right? There is a difference. You understand things on surface, but don't try to ever, bog down by the preparation, by collecting each and every fact from every source, right? So that means your sources have to be limited to be always on the essential material, right? Next thing which you need to know is that you have to, in this preparation, have right approach. What is the right approach for the examination? Motivate yourself. Because if you're not motivated, you will not be able to know things. Always, appreciate your achievements. Usually prelims से पहले लोगों के फेस होते हैं डल. क्या होगा, नींदें गायब हो जाती है, राइट? चैन उड़ जाते हैं, राइट? तो this is what you need to know, that this is more about psychological, aspects as well. You have to praise yourself, you have to appreciate yourself, you have to motivate yourself, because there will be number of challenges, right? So any question if you have, you can ask me with respect to any subject or particularly history. Anything which you need to ask. All the best. And start focusing on your mains, because that is the next logical step which you need to take. Regarding the cutoffs, I'm again emphasizing here, don't think too much. But yes, definitely on VisionIAS website, there is a survey that is being conducted, because we want to take out the maximum scientific cutoffs. You can, log into the website and fill that survey up, right? Don't focus too much upon cutoffs, just do your part, do your karma, and just leave it rest to your destiny, right? So all the best, guys. Have a nice day.